Hey everybody, this is Rob Archangel, and today I'm going to be reviewing 20 Things I've Learned as an Entrepreneur by Alicia Morga. And once again, this is another book that somehow ended up on my Kindle. It must have been a $1 deal or maybe a free deal or something. And first impressions, the cover looks good. It's simple. It's got a cartoon graphic of a woman climbing stairs with a cloud background. Looks sharp, looks professional, good typeface, and interesting layout, and also sort of makes sense when you think about ascending the corporate ladder, ascending the entrepreneurial ladder, and I like that about it. Now, this book is written in a business books style, very quick, very punchy, lots of bullet points and short ideas. There are, as mentioned, 20 different sections that she points out, and they include things like call and email, and the squeaky wheel does get the grease. Another one, the supermodel motto. Adopt the supermodel motto and never point out your flaws, but do admit your mistakes. And then she'll have a couple of paragraphs in which she describes some of the applications of these ideas. And overall, I thought they were quite good, quite interesting. This book, again, it's a business book. It's designed to be quickly consumed, and I imagine that the author would be satisfied with the reader picking up and remembering, just a few handful of ideas and handful of action steps that they can implement and apply to their own lives. It's very participatory in that way. There's an implied participation, which is a little bit different than in something like Mike Cernovich's Guerrilla Mindset, in which Mike actively insists that you write on the book, that you jot things out, that you put into practice some of what he discusses. The author of this book, name again, Alicia Morga, is less insistent, at least on a chapter-by-chapter basis, about that sort of thing, but it does have a lot of interesting ideas. The supermodel motto is something I really appreciate. It makes me think of a sequence in The Celebrity Apprentice, The Apprentice from several years ago. I haven't watched the show. I've just seen a couple of clips in the lead up to Donald Trump's presidential run. And there's one sequence in which one of the members of the team pitches some idea to him and says, well, I'm white trash and we don't normally do this or wouldn't eat this sort of thing. And Trump immediately jumps on him and says, what do you mean by that? Why would you say that? And he says, well, I just mean I grew up eating lots of fried food and fine dining wasn't a part of my background. He said, why would you say something like that? If you're in a boardroom, if you're meeting with other people and you crack a joke about yourself in that way, do you think that they're going to respect you? Do you think that they're going to appreciate who you are and what you bring to it? And eventually he ends up firing the guy for this misstep. And it really struck with me, and I thought, boy, this posture that he adopts, that Donald Trump adopts and kind of insists on, of don't think of yourself as ordinary, don't think of yourself as meek or lowly or undeserving of respect. He really embodies that. There's another video circulating around of him, I think on Oprah, Donald Trump that is, years ago, and he points out to a woman who says, what would you say to an average woman like myself? And he said, first of all, take that word out of your vocabulary. You're not average. So I see you're very beautiful, you're well-spoken, you're intelligent. Don't think about yourself as average. And that mindset of recognizing your strengths and foregrounding your strengths is important. It has a cumulative effect, of course, on any given day and any given moment. It's perhaps justifiable, or it's easy to be okay with criticizing yourself or pointing out your shortcomings. But if you focus on that relentlessly, well, what's the effect of that going to be on your self-conception? What's the effect of that going to be on how you picture yourself and the respect that you afford yourself, and thereby the respect that other people afford you? Aunt and uncle and cousin, and they have little pithy phrases around their house, and one of them is, we treat others, or we train others how to treat us. And if we treat ourselves as dismissible, we in turn will train others to treat us that way. And so that idea of powerful self-conception is important. And I appreciate here that the author balances that with a willingness to admit your mistakes, a willingness to accept responsibility for missteps and shortcomings, and doing things that maybe in retrospect we would have done differently. There are a handful of other chapters here, and many of them have good, useful, pithy recommendations. Stick to your guns. People will fight you on everything, and be clear about yourself and what you're looking for. I would put that in tandem with establish a clarity of focus, establish a clarity of purpose. And once you have that, once you're grounded and know what you're about and know what you're looking for, it becomes that much easier to fight for it, to defend it without second-guessing yourself. I think that in many cases, smart people, open-minded people, nuanced and reflective people will be willing to entertain ideas that are in opposition to their own. And I think that is a mark of, a mark of intelligence and a mark of good character, but I do think that it needs to be applied judiciously. I think that we have to have the meta skill of knowing when to engage in that sort of nuanced, subtle, self-reflective thinking and conversation, and when we do need to stick to our guns, when we do need to defend ourselves. One of the ideas in a book by Vox Day, reviewed by Mike Cernovich, called SJWs Always Lie, Social Justice Warriors Always Lie, is apologies are reasonable and appropriate if your opponent or if the other party that you're engaging with is acting in goodwill. If they're not acting in goodwill, then apologizing is perceived as a demonstration of weakness and is perceived as a way for you to be attacked. And you have to engage in the habit of recognizing who you're speaking to and when, and why you are apologizing, what the circumstances of it are, and apply that judiciously. There's a post from Ram Prier recently that I came across. Ram Prier is a blogger. He's written a lot of interesting things. I like a lot of what he has to say. And he linked to another article describing Mode 1 and Mode 2 ethics, I think, or morality. And the short of it is, Mode 1 morality is essentially universalist. Mode 2 morality is unapologetic about having in-groups and out-groups. And it's been an interesting evolution for me personally to perceive or to evolve from a more universalist ethic to one that is cognizant of in-group and out-group differences and unapologetic about that. in my business life, it's my goal at all times to be open, to be gracious, to be welcoming and inviting, and non-adversarial when first interacting with clients or prospective clients. But at a certain point, if there's quite obvious incompatibility, if we are not a good fit, and if there's any indication of this client looking to take advantage or to distrust or not respect what we do and what we're about, then I've had to learn to draw boundaries and be quite firm that we're not a good fit. And that doesn't mean, again, that I have to wage a war against these individuals, but I'm certainly not going to remain open-hearted and make myself available emotionally or energetically to them if they are not willing to engage in some sort of meaningful reciprocal relationship. Anyway, this title here by Alicia Morga is interesting. It's, again, quite short, but has prompted a number of interesting conversations between me and friends, and reflections and ruminations of my own. So if you're interested, I'm sure you can find it on Amazon, and probably worth the handful of dollars that it will take to bring it to your device. That's all for now. Happy reading.